Hey everyone, what's up? And welcome back to the garden. Today we are doing something very, very different. Now, I've been gardening about 10 years and my little backyard has kind of been limiting, I won't lie. And there's one thing that I've always wanted to grow but I never have, and that is fruit trees. I would love to have just a yard full of apples and pears and peaches and all these delicious fruits, but I've never done it. The cost has always been a major determining factor in that. But this year I want to do something different, and I am going to be grafting fruit trees. Now, basically, grafting is just a way in which we are able to propagate fruit trees, make more of them. Most fruit trees, with a very few exceptions, don't grow true to seed. So, if you plant an apple seed, you're not going to get an apple. You're likely not going to get an apple that was like the one that you ate to begin with. So propagation, basically we are just going to combine a rootstock, which is going to form our roots, obviously, and a piece of scion wood, which is just a little kind of stick thing that is going to duplicate the variety of apple that we want, or fruit, whatever, or not necessarily apples. I should go ahead, since I'm already rambling and stumbling over my words, I should go ahead and put this disclaimer out there that this is the first time I am ever doing this, and I am just a regular person. Why not put it out there? Best case scenario, it makes someone else is interested in this also and begins to explore it. The main reason I wanted to get fruit trees through grafting is that, number one, they are much more affordable. It is much more affordable. If I did the math, a grafted fruit tree that I did myself would work out to about $6.50 per tree. Obviously, you can buy much larger trees that have already been grown and grafted and everything else, and those usually run about $29 to $39 here where I am. So obviously, if I wanted to build any kind of collection of fruit trees, I needed to do it frugally. Also, I don't have the space right now to actually grow large fruit trees, and this kind of endeavor is very much a planning for the future endeavor. It's always been my hope to have a big yard, or even a farm would be amazing. It takes a while for these little trees to grow into, big trees. So getting a start now, I feel like, is a wise thing to do, because let's face it, I think somebody out there said best time to plant a tree is like yesterday, or there's some kind of saying that goes along with that. I'm not sure. Anyway, to get started, basically what we want to do is we are going to stay within certain species for each type. For example, our apple scion wood has to go to an apple rootstock. Pretty common sense stuff, but hey, we're learning here, so let's go with it. Basically, you can choose rootstocks. There are quite a few different options. And they all kind of go with size and disease resistance. So I really wanted to do research in my own area first about what rootstocks were going to be best in terms of things like resistance to fire blight and, common problems that I might have here in my Kentucky garden. Then I started researching into the types of scion wood that I would need. And hopefully I'm saying that right, because I learn a lot through reading. It's ironic because I usually just don't watch videos. I prefer just to read. And sometimes I don't know how to pronounce things, and that's okay. Anyway, I began researching which varieties of the different fruit trees would also demonstrate tolerance and resistance to certain diseases here in my growing zone. And that was important because, let's face it, nobody wants to go through all this work and waiting and patience, and you end up with a tree that struggles to grow in your zone. So we want to do all of that work ahead of time. The scion wood and the rootstocks began shipping from the online suppliers that I ordered from. I ordered from Fruitwood Nursery and I ordered from Fedco Trees. They began shipping in mid-March. The Fruitwood Nursery actually came very early. It might have came at the end of February, I want to say. And I actually had to store that in my spare fridge in my basement. So fortunately, I do have a spare fridge that I use for just, plant stuff, which is really, really convenient. It's like a fridge from the 60s. I just plug it in whenever I need to use it for plant stuff. So fortunately, I have a way to store those. But once my rootstocks arrived, I was really ready here in mid-March, before bud break and everything, to get these these grafts started. Now, the most common type of graft that we're going to see with these little grafts, I guess is what we'd call it, is a whip and tongue graft. And those are usually done with just a grafting knife and some very precision cuts, which unfortunately I do not trust myself to make. So what I did is I went on Amazon and bought a grafting tool. This black case with a grafting tool, and it was very reasonably priced. I am so surprised. The reviews were good. This is not a sponsor, just so you know. I'll put the link to it. I'll put an affiliate link down to it in the description below if you want to check it out as well. It was reasonably priced, and I am seriously surprised by how hefty it was. I was expecting it to be, you know, kind of flimsy like some things you get off Amazon are. But there's a lot in here. There are obviously our tools to make our cuts on our sticks. I guess that's probably not the technical word for it, sticks, but there are tools to make the cuts. In doing so, ideally we want to make sure that each of these cuts line up to about the same thickness on our sticks. Yes, I'm calling them sticks from now on. And this is important because in order to make the graft successful, there's this thing called the cambium, I think. And when you look at our cuts, you can see it. It's kind of this green line that is directly below the bark of our cut. You can see it there. It's just kind of like a bright green line. And ideally, when we mesh these two parts together, when we put these two parts together, we want that cambium to line up so that they will, ideally, I guess, grow together. Again, this is the first time I'm doing this, so forgive me if you are a seasoned grafter. As always, feel free to leave helpful and constructive and kind comments down below. I love learning from you guys, I really do. I just thought it would be fun to kind of explore this new world of gardening together because this is all very, very new to me. So once we have put those together and placed those tightly together, I am just going to wrap it up tightly with this grafting tape. So-called tape is more like I guess a cellophane is what this is. I might go back and add a little bit of electrical tape or something. I've seen electrical tape recommended. It just depends. I'm going to see how this holds up. And ideally, we want these to stay nice and moist while that is healing over the spring and summer. And hopefully by fall, we will have a strong joint and we can kind of start to remove that. As I'm doing these grafts, I'm just going to put the completed grafts into this bucket of water and let them soak in the bucket of water just because I've kind of found that that's generally good tree planting practice is to give them a good soak before I plant them out anywhere. So if it applies to larger trees, I'm not quite sure why it wouldn't apply to this. So, you know, we'll see how that goes. Hopefully, if you're watching this in the future, you can come back and see whether or not things went well or not. Now, rather than plant these in pots or containers, I am just going to make a very narrow nursery row here in my backyard in a space that I'm not using. I'm just going to space these plants about maybe 12 inches apart and let them grow on through the season. I'm going to watch them, make sure they're staying nice and consistently moist, and just see what happens. When I plant them in the ground, I'm going to make sure that I am going to keep that graft about maybe 2 inches above the ground because we don't want, obviously, soil and things getting in there, maybe causing it to rot or anything like that. But yeah, I'm really excited for this. We have a lot of fruit trees on the way, so hopefully maybe one day we'll have a farm, or you know, worst case scenario is we'll have a bunch of fruit trees and we won't know what to do with them, but that won't happen for years and years. So I'm just going to keep going with this, and hopefully I will have an awesome update for you guys in the fall. That's really about it for this one. If you have any experience grafting your own fruit trees, feel free to tell me all about it in the comments below. I love reading your experiences and everything. It's so fun. This year I am going to attempt to graft some cherry trees, some tart cherry trees, sour cherry trees. I don't think sweet cherry trees grow too well here in Kentucky. Also some pears and some apples. I didn't have all the peaches were all sold out, so no peaches this year. Maybe if we have success with it this year, we'll order some peaches next year. I did order one full-size peach tree though that's going in my yard. I'm really excited about that. So if y'all want me to make a video about planting a peach tree, let me know. It probably wouldn't be very exciting because it's literally just one peach tree, but I'm so pumped for it. Very eager to start this new adventure into growing fruit and starting an orchard and all this stuff. So very cool. And that's about it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I am so appreciative. I really am. As always, be sure to leave a comment down below. I love to know what you guys think. Was it helpful? What experiences do you have? I'm always learning from the comments, which I really love. As always, if you're not a subscriber and you like this video, be sure to hit the little subscribe button, hit the little bell. The bell tells you whenever we make new videos. It's a great way to keep up with the channel and grow just our little gardening community here. As always, all the links to everything is down in the description below. Our link to Patreon and our YouTube memberships is there. It helps support the channel. It helps me pay for things like blog fees, and occasionally I get help with editing, which is really helpful because let's face it, I am not the most tech savvy person on the planet. But I am trying to keep learning and keep making our videos better. There's also a link to the blog. Oftentimes you can check out the blog and there will be more information and more pictures about the thing that I've talked about in the video, just because sometimes it helps for me to write down that information and kind of organize it much better. As always, feel free to share this video with a friend. It helps us so much when we grow the channel. I hope that you're having such an incredible day, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye, guys.